we heard from Donald Trump talking about not just this particular case, but of course the Letitia James case, as well as the Fani Willis case. Fani Willis, who goes out and hires this guy that allegedly she's seeing, and believe me, if you see all the texts that are going back and forth and how many times he's visiting her house, clearly there was something going on. I mean, something, right? But this is what's being disputed, because you see, the issue here on Fani is she can't actually hire her boyfriend and then financially benefit from that relationship while they're going after Trump. And there were all those cruises, which she says she paid cash for, etc. Let's listen to The View try and defend Fani Willis here, just today, in fact, because somehow, this is what they're holding on to. They keep holding on to all these cases, hoping that one of them's going to come through. But again, the biggie there out of Colorado in the Supreme Court is just a big fat zero. Here, watch this Anna woman on The View talking about Fani.
He was, when he was running for president, back when dinosaurs were roaming the earth, Ron DeSantis actually at one point said, I'm actually looking at this in Florida now. Could we make a credible case that Biden should be removed because of whatever reason he can come? And that could be happening, as you said, in every other state. Now, it's really important that we remember, though, they ruled on this question. They did not rule on whether he is an insurrectionist. No. They did not rule on whether he helped lead an insurrection and promote an insurrection. Those are two very separate questions. I agree with this. I think it needs to be up to the voters. I think it was opening up a Pandora's box. And one of the things that John Roberts said earlier was, how do we know that this is not that then elections don't end up being decided by just a few states? But the last point I want to make, something that's really troubling me, though. Look, we have spent days in the last few weeks watching Fani Willis be on a witness stand and going through the fact that she was having an affair with a guy she hired to prosecute this case. It's a conflict of interest case. It bothers me tremendously that we have now had this case where Clarence Thomas has sat there, and we have another case, the immunity case, where Clarence Thomas apparently plans to sit there, despite the fact that, in my view, and I think in a lot of Americans' view, he has a conflict of interest, because if Fani Willis sleeping with that guy you think was a conflict of interest, what do you think of Clarence Thomas being married to a woman who was actually trying to overturn the elections? And that is something that continues to be unaddressed. And I must say this, both Clarence and Jenny Thomas have denied any wrongdoing.
Well, whoa. Think about that. There's a few different things going on, because basically what she's saying is a wife cannot have a different viewpoint than her husband. That somehow you have to think completely in sync. You want to talk about a sexist point of view? That's coming from The View right there, ladies and gentlemen. That because Clarence Thomas is married to a woman that feels passionately that Donald Trump is on the right side of history here, that somehow Clarence Thomas cannot think straight because of who his wife is, that he's been married to for decades. Last I checked, a husband and wife are supposed to be able to have different views on things, Anna. Right? I mean, you guys purport to be the feminists that you are there over on The View, but you see, they're only feminists when it suits their point of view, suddenly become really kind of arcane and anti-feminist and anti-women if they figure it's against their point of view. Now, I thought one direction she might actually go in is that, maybe Clarence Thomas has a conflict of interest because he's gotten money from, some friend who flies him here, there, and everywhere. That was a legit thing. And then he, the issues were coming up before the court. That was fully legit, but different than this particular case. I mean, the problem with Fani here is that, she's going out and hiring the boyfriend and then benefiting financially from that hiring as they try to take down Trump. And I have a feeling this whole thing, The judge is going to probably wind up deciding, Fannie, you can't move forward in this case because you are so highly, highly, highly conflicted. And then they're going to wipe her out. They're going to wipe out the whole office. And then they're not going to be able to take that Fulton County, Georgia case right to court the way they want. It gets delayed, and it will get delayed till after the election.